Today, I'd like to introduce the Plant and Wetland Ecology Laboratory at Seoul National University. Our lab studies plants and wetlands to understand how ecosystems function, change over time, and respond to environmental change. Wetlands are especially important because they store carbon, support biodiversity, and connect land and water systems. Our laboratory is led by Professor Jae-Gun Kim. He received his PhD in wetland ecology from UC Davis and has been a professor at Seoul National University since 2003. He has published extensively in ecology, biology education, books, and technical reports. His work emphasizes long-term ecosystem processes and field-based research. Our lab includes postdoctoral researchers, PhD students, master's students, and researchers. We work as a collaborative research team. More than 80 alumni from this lab now work as professors, researchers, and teachers. This reflects the interdisciplinary training provided by the lab. Our research covers 6 major areas. These include paleoecology, nutrient cycle, plant habitats and germination, population ecology, plant-insect coevolution, and biology education. Although these topics are diverse, they are all connected through ecosystem processes and environmental change. Paleoecology allows us to reconstruct past vegetation and climate change. Wetland sediments contain pollen and organic materials that record environmental history. By analyzing these layers, we can assess watershed impacts and estimate long-term carbon storage and sequestration. This information provides baseline data for wetland restoration and climate studies. Nutrient cycling controls how energy and materials move through ecosystems. We use litter bag experiments to measure decomposition rates in wetlands. By analyzing organic and inorganic components, we can understand nutrient cycling and sediment processes. A litter bag is a small mesh bag filled with leaves and placed in water or soil. Wetland plants are strongly influenced by soil, water, light, and temperature. We study how these environmental factors affect seed germination and early growth. This research helps explain plant distribution patterns and supports wetland conservation and restoration. In this study, we compared plants from 3 different habitat types. By dividing habitats and comparing them, we can clearly see how environmental conditions shape plant growth. Population ecology focuses on variation within plant species. We analyze both morphological traits and genetic diversity of wetland plants. By linking habitat conditions with plant traits, we can understand local adaptation and support conservation strategies. This helps us understand why the same species looks different in different places. This research examines interactions between plants and insects under climate change. We study the relationship between butterflies and plants. We analyze changes in butterfly fitness, oviposition behavior, and plant defense traits. This system illustrates how environmental change can drive coevolution. It is a good example of how species influence each other. Education is the final research area in our lab. We develop biology education programs across STEAM and curriculum-based domains. Field-based ecosystem and biodiversity education is emphasized. We also integrate digital tools, AI, and citizen science into biology education. Our lab contributes to both graduate and undergraduate education. Courses include wetland ecology education, plant taxonomy, field biology, and ecology education. Students learn not only theory, but also how to collect and interpret real ecological data. To support our research, we use multiple specialized facilities. Each space plays a specific role in the research process, from field sampling to data interpretation. I will briefly introduce some of these spaces. This indoor laboratory is used for processing samples collected from the field. We conduct chemical and biological analyses of plant and sediment samples. Here, we focus on standardized data generation and quality control. We use basic tools such as microscopes, balances, and DNA analysis tools. These rooms support our field work. They contain equipment for vegetation surveys, quadrat sampling, and coring. Samples can be temporarily stored here, including refrigerated storage, before analysis. When you visit this room, it looks messy. But that's because real field research uses a lot of equipment. In this room, we store and curate plant specimens collected from the SNU campus and nationwide surveys. Seeds and reproductive materials are preserved as taxonomic and educational references. This space supports long-term specimen storage and species identification, rather than experimental research. When you enter this room, you may notice a strong or unusual smell. That's because each plant specimen is stored with naphthalene to control humidity. This rooftop greenhouse is used for controlled experiments under elevated CO conditions. Open-top chambers allow us to simulate future atmospheric environments. We examine plant growth and physiological responses under controlled conditions. Because it is winter now, there are no plants growing in the greenhouse at the moment. This outdoor site is located between Building 69 and Building 65. Here, we conduct field-based experiments and long-term monitoring under natural conditions. This site bridges laboratory experiments and real ecosystems. This outdoor site is located in a forested area, and it takes quite some time to reach. These offices serve as our daily working spaces, equipped with personal computers. Here, we organize, interpret, and synthesize ecological data. We also write scientific manuscripts and reports in these rooms. Now, I'd like to conclude the introduction of our laboratory. In simple terms, our lab studies wetland ecosystems across time. We focus on the past by examining wetland history and sediment records. We study the present by examining plants and environmental conditions. And we look toward the future by examining how climate change impacts wetlands and plants. All of this work is carried out through field research, experiments, and education. Thank you for your attention.